Well, Jen, thank you so much for being here with me on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. We've got a great episode lined up for everybody here. But before we get started, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity and for having given me the space. It's really a real honor. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I guess so. My full name is Genevieve Retzlaff, and most people call me Jen just for the sake of pronunciation. I'm French Canadian living in Germany. And what I do is I'm a business owner called Grow Better Together. It was born in 2018, and it was mainly born of the idea that we want to bring one of the idea that the industrial world is going through a massive transition right now. You know, the great resignation is a real thing, like it's really happening. There's people don't want to be working the same way they've been working forever. People want to change, right? And so that's what Grow Better Together does, is we're pulling our clients and organizations towards the future of work, just
Yes.
responding to the demand, what people want to be doing, how they want to be working, and just really make them fit for that change.
Yeah, and it's incredible because I remember when you reached out to me in order to come on the podcast and I read what you said, I was like, this is brilliant. This could be a fantastic conversation because, yes, we are going through a change where people are thinking differently about how they want to work. What does the future hold for them, especially with what
Yeah.
has happened with COVID and everything else? But
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's a huge transition and it's not something to be scared of, it's something to embrace now and to say, okay, how can we use this change in order to benefit me, benefit my family, moving forward, future decisions,
Exactly.
etc.
Yes,
But
yes, it's all about a balance, right? People want
yeah,
balance, and it's a good thing. It's a good change. It's great.
yeah, absolutely. But how did this get started? How did you decide just one day, okay, this is the business I'm going to start and this is what I want to do? What does that story look like?
Yeah, well, it's not kind of a one-off thing. I guess it's a bit of a mix of different events in my life. There's certainly some turning points in my corporate careers, that I can, put the fingers and maybe that contributed. Also, my expatriation from Canada to Germany 7 years ago, and motherhood. Things change, priorities change, and the way you've been working. And I was just looking at mothers in my corporate environment, and I just saw them rush through their life, their day, their weeks, their months, their lives. It was all about rushing and going from one thing to the next. And I was just looking at that thinking, I don't want that for myself somehow, and I just thought there must be a different way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, doing my own thing, leading in an authentic way, the way I wanted to be, leading my own company without compromising on my ambitions, I guess felt like the right thing to do. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And here you are, quite a few years on, and you've got a team. You've built a team around you as well, which is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, we're 7 people. Some of us are in North America, some of us are in Europe, and so we're able to serve multiple clients on multiple different territories for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So tell us a little bit about how you do this. What are the programs that you're offering then? How do you help these people then in order to look at what it is that they can do or what their future looks like, basically?
Yeah, so I mean, we have this portal of services, right? So we have leadership coaching. We're talking about today the female leadership program
Yes.
specifically, but we also, help leaders in general. We also do team coaching, which is it's not new, but it's, getting more and more popular. So
Yeah.
it's not a one-off event like team building, but it's really an ongoing process to make the teams work better together on a sustainable basis. We do recruiting in a different way. We really look at the cultural aspect of what the company needs and really find the right match. And we offer aligning people and business strategies, and so really bringing the companies to just have their business goals align with their people strategy instead of the other way around, you know?
Yes,
And oh, we have
yes.
all these people, what can we do with those people? But more saying like, this is the business needs and how can we get people there? I guess the umbrella under which we work is, I would say, what makes us different is the piece around authenticity. And for us, it's really at the core of what we offer, because a lot of people will offer some consulting, some coaching, but what we really want to do is to bring about the authentic voice in people, in teams, and make them work better together on a human level, but a real human level, you know, so to bring about the more the authentic selves.
Yeah, and I think that's so important as well for quite a few things which we're going to discuss about today. But you know, that's what I love, because for a long time I think some of that has been missing when you're looking at the corporate world. But even, you know, for small business owners, when they're looking at employing people, there's always been an element missing. And I think, you know, even though we say yes, we want authentic people to work for us, but how do you do that? How do you choose authentically? How do you set, you know, teams or build teams together authentically to have that balance, basically? And I think this is where you come in, which makes it so much more interesting. So let's jump into this. I mean, one of the things we are going to talk about is female leadership. So from your point of view, why is it so important for women then to step into a leadership role, more importantly, that is authentic and aligned with them?
Well, for so many reasons, I guess. But the most important one is that this is what the world needs right now. They need more female leadership qualities. Doesn't mean that male cannot lead with female leadership qualities. So I just want to make this distinction between, you know, it's not about feminism or female power. It's really about having more of a balance between male leadership qualities and female leadership qualities. And why is it important is that the generations, you know, generations Y, generation Z, they don't want to work the way we've been working before. And you mentioned earlier the COVID, you know, the pandemic, the world was going in that direction. People want more balance. They don't want to be burned out. They don't want to live for work. They want to have a, you know, different areas of their lives where they feel fulfilled, not just at work. And the pandemic, I think, just accelerated that, but we were going in that direction. And so all that put together, female leadership qualities like being more accommodating, being more responsive, more compassionate, more caring, ability to, you know, accept the insecurity and the not knowing and saying, let me groom you, instead of just saying, oh, this, you know, I don't have time for that. Or, you know, being more tender around some human related challenges, let's say, you know, in a team and in a corporate environment. So I think that's why. The other reason would probably be that me, at least as a female leader, I can speak for myself and for a lot of the clients I've seen, and I hear that a lot, is that it's almost like, I want to use the word duty, you know, it's almost a duty as a woman to be a role model for, even if you don't have children, right? What kind of imprint you want to leave, and, you know, you want to be part of that transition. We are in a transition. It's a great opportunity, you know, to just embrace it and be there with the change, to be a role model for what's coming behind us, you know.
Yeah. And I love the way you put it together, because I've seen this as well. I mean, I started my business long before COVID even happened, but because the majority of my clients tend to be women who own their own companies, whether they're, you know, running it by themselves or whether they've got teams, small business owners. But I've seen this very much as well as where that authenticity come in, whereby they feel, no, we've got to be setting the boundaries and we've got to be sharp and we've got to do this. It's like, yes, you've got to do that, but you've also got to do it authentically. It's got to align with you. It's got to feel right, you know, and it's fine to go out there with a masculine energy, but there's a very thin balance between keeping that female energy still alive in order to show compassion, to do things the right way. So yes, you can run a business, but you've got to figure out what is right for you, what is authentic, who you are showing up as an authentic person. And I think this is not something you can just jump in and wake up next morning and go, this is it, this is who I need to be. No. It is a journey.
Process for sure. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and I find this myself as well. I think in the beginning, and I think most people can relate to this, in the beginning when I just started my business, one of the biggest things is, which we'll talk about in a minute, is who do I need to show up as? How do I show up, especially with social media visibility, you know, all of those kind of things? How do you need to show up? Who should you show up as in order to just have a presence? And I very quickly learned that the best way and the easiest way to do that is just to be yourself.
Yeah.
And that has been the biggest attraction, and that has helped me in my business more than I would have ever imagined, by just showing up as to who I am without putting a veil over it and saying, nope, nope, this is not me, this is not me.
Yeah.
Here I am.
But do you think did it take you a lot of courage to do that too?
It did. And I can honestly say for this, I think on the visibility part, the biggest thing for me was because English is my second language. So, and I'm sure with you as well, you'll, you know, will understand this. So for me, deciding then to start showing up, being visible, it freaked me out because I say words wrong. I pronounce lots of words wrong. My tenses are always wrong. And, you know, I'm lucky if I get a whole paragraph with the perfect tenses together. But I think it very quickly became to a point where I thought, you know what? If I say things wrong, so what? People will pick up on it and they're going to forget about it.
Yeah.
But the main thing is I've got to show up and just say to people, this is who I am. Yeah. And when I did that for the first couple of times, yes, it was a journey. It didn't happen overnight. But then when I started doing that for a couple of times, it just became natural. And I thought, this is actually really easy. I don't have to pretend.
Yeah,
I don't have to fake it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's true. I can still relate when you say, you know, the courage piece, at least for myself. Also, I work in English, but I'm French speaking, you know, native French speaking. So
I think what we just shared about also beautifully leads into something else that I want to ask you, as to how limiting beliefs can stop us from actually achieving what it is that we really want to achieve, whether it's a goal or a dream. So, you know, and also how to get rid of those limiting beliefs, I guess. Can we get rid of them?
Yeah, and well, the good news is yes, you can. And it's just, I guess that reminds me of what I wanted to say earlier about the bringing your authentic self to work is also about, it's also about discovering. It's really a self-discovery process. And that's what we really work hard, because when you say, okay, I'm going to show authentic and autonomous and, you know, as my authentic self, but first of all, you have to ask yourself, what does that mean? You know, because the society and, you know, your role in whether corporate or whatever you were doing before you decide to step into that power and say, okay, I'm going to show up as my authentic self. There's kind of a whole process that is invisible to you. You don't even realize that it's happening. And then you have to stop and think, why am I the way I am? And who do I want to be in the future? And how do I shift from there? And this is where this is where we talk about the values, the beliefs. This is what we identify what has served me in becoming the person I am today, and what is not serving me anymore in achieving my goal in either whatever it is. For you was building your business as your authentic self. Let's say this was your goal. So how do I shift from how I was to how I want to be, and how do I want to show up, and what's important for me? So there needs to be a really deep reflection on that. And this is where the limiting beliefs come in, right? And this is where we start thinking like, oh, but I'm not good enough. Oh, I need to work harder to achieve this position because I need to compensate because I'm not as smart as the other ones. Or I can't show my feelings. I'm being told I'm too emotional, you know, like all these are things, like little voices that are in your head that prevents you from actually stepping into your power. Speaking of stepping into powers, you know, and first, these are things that you need to stop and think and realize that they're there. And what we do is, you know, what I would suggest to the audience is think about it, like give yourself some time to reflect on what is holding you back, and also replace this inner talk with positive one. You know, this is kind of a good place to start. To get rid of your limiting beliefs is first of all identifying what they are, and then how do you want to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, it's like anything, if you don't know what they are, you don't know what to change.
Mm,
So it does
exactly.
require some time to sit down and reflect on them to see what is stopping you. And
Yeah.
and I guess for a lot of us, it's kind of like the sensation that we get is fear, right? There's a
Mm,
limiting belief, but the sensation is fear. So what is
yeah.
that fear that is really stopping you from moving forward?
Yeah.
I remember for my example, it was peer anxiousness. I was so anxious to hit a recording button, to sit there in front of a camera.
Oh, yeah.
Um, that was the thing that really, really just got me going. And then before I know it, it's like, a spiral
Mm,
just went out of control. And then before it, I was like, whoa, now I'm thinking about all of these other things. And it only started with one thought, which was, I'm scared of showing up. I'm scared of being in front of a camera. And now I've just, made this big mountain out of nothing. And I
yeah.
thought the only way to go through it is just to do it. What is that saying? And I might get this wrong now. Is that saying like the only way to get to the other side is to go straight through it or something like
Yeah.
that? I might have
Well, I
completely
mean,
misinterpreted, but that's the way I see it. It's just go for it. And you're going to
yeah.
see, walls haven't caved in, lightning haven't struck you. You'll still be fine on the other side.
That's true. That's true. And I mean, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I guess this is a story that I hear a lot also with
Yeah.
women entrepreneurs. So they go through the whole process, right? Who am I as my authentic self? What are my limiting beliefs? And now, okay, it's not like a done deal, right? It's not like, okay, I'm just going to show up as my authentic self, but there are fears getting in the way,
Yeah.
And what if people don't like my authentic self? And what if that doesn't sell? And what if, and this is the struggle, and this is where you kind of need to pull through
Yeah.
and power through, and as you said, just go through it, and just cross your fingers, hide your eyes and go.
I know. But you know what? I've used this analogy quite a few times here on the podcast, but I'm going to share it again because I think this is kind of where everybody's talking about stepping out of your comfort zone. So the
Mm,
diagrams that are out there is very much like this is your comfort zone right here. And the
yeah,
goal that you want to achieve is this little dot or this little circle all up here. And then in
yeah,
between is this darkness, this vastness. So you've got to get from this circle to this dot. And the first thing we think about is, oh my gosh, I've got to step into nothingness. I've got to step into this darkness. So
mm,
I kind of rephrased the analogy in a little way. And for everybody who's heard this again, repetition is a good thing. So here we go. So my analogy with this is when you have this little circle and you just take that one step outside of your comfort zone, here's what's going to happen. You're instantly going to get a reward. And that
mm,
reward is confidence, because you're going to go like, oh my gosh, I did this. And actually, it's okay. I'm still alive. It's not so bad. And as soon as you get that feeling of pride, your confidence shoots through the roof. But then
yeah,
automatically what is happening is your comfort zone then at that point expands around you again,
yeah,
protecting you. And then
yeah,
you do it again. Step outside that comfort zone and your comfort zone expands again as soon as you get that confidence. All the while, your comfort zone is protecting you until you reach that goal. So you're never actually stepping out into the darkness. You're always protected.
yeah,
But you've got to keep growing. You've got to keep moving
exactly.
forward. That's the way I see it. And that brought me so much comfort the first time I realized it. And I thought, well, in that case, it's not so bad. I can step
Yeah.
out of my comfort zone a
I
lot
can do
more.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because I had the exact explanation of what you just said with my daughter. She's young, like she's
Oh,
six
bless her.
years old, but she had trouble just going into, outside of her comfort zone where she had to interact socially with people she wasn't comfortable with. And that's exactly how I explained it. And it's funny because when I explained it to her, it made so much sense also for my coaching business all of a sudden. And it's funny because now I realize we have the same analogy. Isn't
Perfect.
it cool? Ah,
But isn't this a beautiful? You just said that you shared it with your 6-year-old daughter. How
mm,
incredible is it to share something like that with our children? To
I
explain
know.
it to them from a young age, to get out there, to be a little bit more brave, not for society to dictate how they should feel, how they should show up, but to teach them from a young age how
Yeah,
to just show up authentically and to grow and learn more about themselves
yeah,
without feeling worried about what are my friends going to think? What is society going to think? What
exactly.
everybody on Facebook going to think about me? Or these days for the youngsters, it's TikTok or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
So for all of us, you know, it is a journey that we all got to go through, and we've got to understand, like we said before, what are those limiting beliefs, and analyze them and go, actually, you know what, this one, let's just try it out. Let's just go for it. Understanding that your confidence will grow at the same time.
I know, and I find you're so right. And when it's a simple thing, but it's also that complex, you know. It's how do you find it in yourself to just say, okay, I'm just going to go try it. Not everyone has the same comfort or level of comfort with stepping outside of that zone, you know, and how it's finding creative ways, you know, and working with clients and with people and actually pulling them. That's why I use the word pulling, because it's really, you don't want to push them, right? Like you just want to hand a hand and say, here, let me help you out of your zone, you know, and just trust that it's going to be okay. And it's the accompanying process that matters. Then you feel like you have some support to actually achieve your goals that you can of course achieve on your own, but then you can achieve them quicker probably, and with more confidence and more, you know, solid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this leads back beautifully to that first example we spoke about, leadership roles. You know, so if you're in this moment where you feel like I need that helping hand who can pull me forward, well, the best thing to do is to find who you see as an example, who you see as a role model who can give you that helping hand, whereby you do it with your clients. You know, you're a role model for them, and you can help them.
Yeah, but I also encourage my clients, let's say they're internal, is an employee somewhere, they need to find themselves what I call a sponsor, right? A sponsor will push you, will help you, will open doors with you, not for you, with you, saying like, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? How can I help? Let me introduce you to that and that person, and let me help you open your own doors, right? And so that's another way. Of course, you working with a coach gives you the confidence, but the sponsor will have some practical aspects to which, you know, coach is limited, right? It's not mentoring, it's really coaching, and it's a different concept entirely.
But the whole idea is that there are tools. There are things out there who can help you with that extra mile. You've just got to find, number one, you know, what is aligned with you, who are those people you need if you don't feel you can do it on your own. And in most cases, we all need a little helping hand. We can't always do everything on our own.
Right?
So I think this leads me to the other thing that I want to ask you about confidence. You know, for all of us, and we spoke about this a little bit earlier on, but understanding the importance of building our own confidence. This is something that, you know, you're not born with it. You've got to learn this as you grow, literally.
Yeah, exactly.
And I see this in most cases with anything new that we're taking on, you know, whether it's stepping outside of that comfort zone or starting a new project, applying for a new job, you know, doing something new, even if it's just in your personal life. The only way to really go for it is to understand that you are going to grow your confidence by taking that step. So from your perspective and from your experience, how important do you think self-confidence is for people?
It's critical. I mean, it all starts with that. I think if you want to step forward, you have to have that confidence, and you're going to land on something solid, you know. Otherwise you either stay in the air debating whether you should step forward or not, or you stay put because it's no risk, you know. And so you need the confidence for sure, and it's so important. And then you need to find what is the best way for you as an individual to gain that confidence. And finding that answer is going to, you know, talking about open doors, is really going to open yourself the doors that you wish for your own self and your development and your growth. And do you know this book from Carol Dweck, the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset? And so it's really bringing people to think that being in a growth mindset is beneficial for yourself, but people tend to, so this book is an interesting read because it really gives you some tips. If you tend to be the one who stays put, then you just need a little push, and see things from a different angle, a different perspective.
Yeah, I like that, actually, seeing things from a different perspective. I think this kind of, this is my coaching brain stepping in now. But if you want to achieve something, if you want to get to the next step, as an example, I think if you look at it from the perspective of already having reached that step, look back then on where you are. And instead of looking forward, pretend you already reached that point and then turn around and go, oh, actually, it's not so bad looking at it from this perspective to what I need to actually achieve.
Exactly.
And I think then if you come back in the zone of, okay, so this is what I need to do, you're going to find that it's a lot easier. So I love the way you're saying it is about looking at it from a different perspective. And I think even just using that concept of what if you've already reached it, turn around then and look at what those steps are. And you're going to find out, actually, it's not so bad. I can do this.
I've done it, right? I'm where I am because I've took some steps. And what was it that worked for me back then that I cannot allow myself to use this time around, and reflecting and perspective, I guess, is definitely helpful.
Yeah, but I think also in a nutshell is, and correct me if you don't agree with me, but you can never stop growing your confidence. I don't think there's a limit to it. I think, with everything that you do in your life, there's always a next level of confidence that you can achieve. You can never reach a limit with it.
No, that is definitely a statement that I resonate with for sure. It's a journey, like it's an ever continuous journey. It never ends. And this is what's beautiful about it, right? Like you can, I could say that I've achieved where I would have liked to be 5 years ago, but now I have new goals, right? I want to grow in a different direction or in the same direction, but in new ways that I haven't thought about 5 years ago, for example. So, and it would be boring otherwise, not just boring, but it would just feels like a little, the sense of purpose would kind of disappear somehow, at least that's how I perceive it, or how.
No, absolutely. I like it. And I think that's very true because we're always reaching out for the next thing, always want to achieve the next thing. And that's great because obviously that's how you move forward. But then remember that that next thing is not going to be the final thing. There's always going to be something after that. And that makes life in general and business just so much more exciting to know that there's more, there's abundance, there's always that next step. But it doesn't mean that there's going to be a limit. There's going to be an end. There's always going to be something until the day that you're not on planet Earth anymore. You'll always go for the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed.
Yeah. And as long as you want that growth mindset, as long as you want it, it's there. It's available to you.
That's it. It's the want, that is not always there. And I tend to challenge people who say they don't want anything anymore. It's like, but why is that? And what else, what else could you think about, and then they get stuck somehow in that question. And that puzzles me somehow.
Yeah.
And that makes me curious, not in a bad way, not judging or anything, but more like, oh, tell me.
Yeah, no, of course, because I think, for a lot of people, they feel sometimes satisfied with life. And that's okay. But again, if you have the growth mindset, don't just settle for what you have or less. Think about that growth, whether, and I'm not just talking about physical things, having physical things in your life. I'm talking also about the mental growth, the spiritual growth, all of those things. There's always got to be growth, and you got to want to have it. I think with all of us as human beings, there is an entity there for all of us to wanting to grow more, wanting to learn more.
Yeah. I'm so glad you made that distinction, because it's true that a coach talking to a coach is obviously not just about material things,
Yeah,
but it's true that it's not obvious for everybody, but it's true. It's really growth in everything. It's
yeah,
growth in, as you said, spirituality, or growth in, in just so many areas, I guess,
hmm,
growth in everything, and just growth in your mindset alone. I don't know how
yeah.
to express it, but it just seems like there's so many avenues to that
I know, I
growth
know.
idea.
And that's the exciting part, I think, just knowing
Mm.
that there's still so much more we can learn.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my gosh. Oh well, Jen, this has been incredible. I just love having this conversation with you. And I think we can talk for quite a few hours on this. But
Yeah,
I think overall what it comes back down together is whether you're searching for new employment, whether you're ready playing a role within a company, whether you're a business owner, or whether you're just a mum. It doesn't matter where you are in your life at this moment, but understand that, taking on that female role is of importance. You can work on those limiting beliefs and you can grow your confidence in turn.
yeah,
Exploring, going out there, getting creative, wanting to learn, wanting to expand your own abilities. It's
yeah.
all
It's
in your
really about
grasp.
fulfillment, I guess.
Mm,
For me, that's what it means. Is it as if, you said, if you're a leader, if you're having your own business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're, or just a mom, but if, just saying this, just being a mom, it's not a bad thing if this is
yeah.
what makes you feel fulfilled, and it's not about judging where people are at, but really
Mm,
reflecting on your own path and your own situation, and say, is this what I wish for myself right now, is the right question to ask. And then you're going to be a great leader and a great role
yeah.
model if this is what you desire. And that's the important part, I guess, is
Yeah.
my point. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So wherever you are in your life, you're always
Mm,
going to show up as a role model to somebody somewhere. You might not even know who it is, but you will
yeah.
always be a role model. And as long as you're authentic, as long as who you are is aligned with you, you can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong, and you can only have ripple positive effects on
Yes.
your surroundings, on your environment, on your children, if you have any, on your partner, on whoever you're in contact with. And this
Yeah.
ripples again, so it's kind of an endless ripple effect,
Yeah.
and that we're looking for. I guess that's the biggest reward for me as a coach and as somebody who does female leadership program. That's one of the the biggest outcome, that I feel just takes or gives me so much pride in what I
Yeah.
do.
Amazing. Oh, and it's lovely to have this conversation with you and to see that there's women there like you who are doing this, who are helping other people within their roles. And we're not just talking about female leadership. Obviously, this was today's topic, but we are talking about any leadership in
Correct.
general. Um,
Hmm.
this is where you're doing something really amazing as well. So for everybody out here listening or watching this video, Jen is offering as something very special to each of you, a 30-minute coaching call, whereby she's going to have a conversation with you in order to understand where you're coming from and possibly just give you a little bit of a help as to what it is that you could do as a female leader. So you've got this amazing 30-minute call available for everybody. Is that right? Is there anything in particular that they need to know or prepare for this call if they want to take it up with you?
Yeah, so this call is really for women, female leaders or entrepreneurs, business owner, or whoever is in a leadership role, who feels like they could benefit from having more authenticity in their work life.
Mm.
And we're willing to offer this 30-minute call, and you can sign up. There's going to be a Calendly link that you can sign up for this. And what was your question? Sorry.
Nope, that was it. That was it.
That was it. Okay, okay. So yeah, but I guess that's the outcome, is just starting to have that conversation and see what can you actually do, what you have in your own power, and just giving a little bit of guidance in that direction, and so they can either start at least a reflection process.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where Jen is reaching out a hand to help pull you a little bit forward. Okay.
Exactly.
And this is a great opportunity. So don't miss out on it. So if you are interested, the link for the Calendly will be down in my show notes. So by all means, go and click on it, book a date. Now, obviously, she can't see everybody. So make sure you book a date as soon as possible. And then for those of you who would like to connect with Jen, her LinkedIn details will also be in the show notes, as well as her website. So by all means, go and have a look, connect with her. If you've got any more questions, I'm sure she would love to have a conversation with you. So just go and book that 30-minute call. You never know what you can get from it. For those of you who are interested in the programs that Jen is offering, there will also be a link to go and explore those programs that she's mentioned earlier on. So by all means, go and have a look, connect with Jen, ask her the questions, but more importantly, I think it's worthwhile just having a call with her. You never know how you could step out on the other side.
Oh,
Jen.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for introducing that 30-minute call. I'm really excited to have this opportunity and meet with some of the audience members. And I appreciate I appreciate the opportunity so much.
Not at all, but thank you so much for your time and coming and speaking to the audience about this. I think it's just going to help everybody elevate a little bit more, feeling a bit more positive and thinking, you know what, I can do this. I can get out of there. Absolutely. But thank you so much. You and I are going to be in touch very soon again. Otherwise, thank you again. Speak soon.
Thank you, Henriette. Speak soon. Enjoy your day.